My beloved, I invite you now to breathe deep. Sit still. Let the thunder in your soul quiet to a whisper, so you may hear what the Spirit is saying. Psalm 3. Ah, yes. Psalm 3 is not merely ink upon parchment. It is the shout of the wounded rising from the valley. It is the heartbeat of the betrayed who yet still believe. It is the fire that flickers in a night soaked with sorrow. Lord, how are they increased that trouble me? So cries David, and so cry you, and so cry I. My dear, have you not felt them? The whispers behind the wall, the schemes in the dark, the hexes cast by jealous mouths and bitter hearts. Yes, there are some who will smile while digging graves with their eyes. There are some who dance in churches while chanting curses in silence. Witchcraft wears no pointed hat. It wears envy. It wears lies. It wears a face you might know too well. But Psalm 3 says, Thou, O Lord, art a shield for me, my glory, and the lifter of my head. O beloved child of dust and divinity, let me tell you something mighty and marvelous. There is a covering over you. Yes, you, woven not by hands, but by holiness. It is not stitched by seamstresses in fine silks. It is not spun in looms or layered in gold. It is formed in the invisible, in the hush between the thunder and the whisper. It is the shield of God. David, the boy shepherd turned fugitive king. He knew the weight of the world pressing down on a man's shoulders. He knew betrayal. His own son, blood of his blood, rose against him like a storm unprovoked. He had warriors at his back, but heartbreak in his chest. He had followers in the caves, but no peace in his palace. Still, in the middle of his midnight misery, David did not cry out to his army, did not consult sages or summon seers. He cried out to the Lord. And what did he say? He said, Thou, O Lord, art a shield for me. Ah! What a declaration in the middle of despair! What audacity to speak victory in the jaws of betrayal! That is not the language of a man who is merely surviving. That is the tongue of someone who knows he is kept. That word shield is not just a poetic embellishment. It is divine assurance. It is the echo of angels circling your name. You see, a shield does not stop the war. It does not silence every lie, nor dismiss the witch who mutters in shadows. No, the shield of the Lord is not avoidance. It is resistance. It means that while evil may form weapons, they shall not prosper. They may rise, but they shall fall. The enemy has tried to touch you. Yes, they have. With bitter tongues and poisoned prayers. They've sent curses flying like arrows dipped in jealousy. They've spoken your failure as if it were fact. But here you stand, unburnt, unbowed, unbothered in your spirit. Why? Because God's shield is not made of brass or bronze. It is made of glory. It is made of fire that consumes the plans of wickedness. It is fashioned from the breath of the Almighty, who blows away every demonic whisper like smoke from a dying candle. Now listen to me. Child, this protection, this divine covering, it is not passive. No, it is intentional. God does not throw his shield on you by accident. He places it upon you because you are his. And when you belong to him, you are not a victim of your environment. You are a vessel of his endurance. Don't you know there were some who plotted and planned, but couldn't touch you because the shield stood tall? There were curses chanted in midnight's breath that broke before they reached your doorstep. Why? Because the Lord had stationed angels at every corner of your dwelling. There was a hedge they couldn't climb. There was a bloodline they couldn't cross. There was a promise they couldn't pierce. Let me say it plainly, you are protected not because of your power, not because of your prayers, not because of your perfection. You are protected because of his presence. Because when God places his hand on you, the devil must back up and back down. This world will not be kind, and evil doesn't knock before it barges in. But you are not left exposed. You are not vulnerable to every wind that blows and every spell that's spoken. When God calls you his beloved, he wraps you in a shield no eye can see but every demon can feel. And what of the witches? What of the warlocks and their whispered curses? Let them gather. Let them murmur. Let them chant in their secret covens. The fire they kindle will burn their own hands. The pits they dig will swallow their own feet. Because no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Not one! Because your God is not distant. He is present. He is watching. He is warring. He is shielding. Even now, while you read these words, there are schemes being scattered. There are assignments being canceled. There are forces backing away and trembling, because you are shielded by the I Am. The God who split the Red Sea has split every plan of darkness aimed at your peace. The God who silenced lions in Daniel's den has silenced every accuser sent to slander your name. You've made it through things others didn't survive. You've walked through shadows with your head still high. You've wept and still worshipped. You've broken but kept believing. That, my dear, is the evidence of the shield. You weren't lucky. You were covered. You weren't just resilient. You were preserved. So now, let your back be straight and your voice be strong. Let your spirit declare what your eyes may not yet see. Say with boldness, like David before you, Thou, O Lord, art a shield for me. Say it in the face of every lingering fear. Say it when sleep won't come. Say it when enemies seem louder than your faith. Say it until the heavens echo it back in thunder and mercy. Because there is no curse strong enough to unseat what God has sealed. There is no witch wise enough to outwit the one who made wisdom itself. There is no evil dark enough to hide from the light that shines from the face of your Father. You are shielded. You are guarded. You are held. And no devil in hell can breach the walls God has built around your destiny. Walk forward, beloved, not in fear, not in trembling, but in knowing you are protected by glory. And you are still standing because God himself stood for you. There comes a time, beloved, when the weight on your heart grows so heavy you think you might break beneath it. There comes a night when the shadows on your bedroom walls seem to whisper every fear you've tucked beneath your pillow. And in that moment, when your throat is tight and your eyes are dry though your soul is thirsty for relief, there is but one thing left to do: cry out. Cry out not to your neighbor, not to your kin, not to the ones who only see the surface of your wounds, but to the Lord, who knows the marrow of your bones and the beat of your trembling heart. You see, David was a man hunted. He was a man who had tasted the sweetness of palace walls, but found himself wandering in caves, hiding in the clefts of rock from the murderous wrath of his own son. His bed was the cold ground. His lullaby was the threat of betrayal. His nights were laced with the rustle of enemy steps creeping near. But when he lifted his voice, he did not cry to man. He did not curse the darkness. He did not complain to the stars. He called upon the name that had called him first. He said, I cried unto the Lord with my voice, and he heard me out of his holy hill. Ah! The power of a cry. Don't you know, child, there is something holy in the sound of your suffering lifted to heaven. Don't you know that your moan is a melody to the ears of the Almighty? You see, people may tell you to hush, to be quiet, to endure your pain in silence. They will say crying is weakness, that tears are the sign of defeat. But I tell you, there is power in a weeping warrior. There is power in a trembling saint. There is power in the voice that calls upon God, even when fear chokes the words in your throat, because you do not cry out into emptiness. You do not cry into the void. No, your cry is caught by the hands that spun the stars into place. Your cry is heard by the one who knit you together before your mother knew your name. Your cry rises like incense, like smoke curling toward the heavens, carrying your sorrows, your doubts, your questions, your quiet pleas for mercy, to the very throne of God. Oh, and don't you think for 1 second that the enemy doesn't tremble at the sound of your cry. Don't you believe the devil wants you strong and stoic, swallowing your agony with clenched teeth? No, child. He fears your cry, because he knows that when you call upon the Lord, you awaken armies of angels. You stir the heart of God himself. You pierce the veil between seen and unseen, and summon a power that no witchcraft, no curse, no scheme from the pit of hell can ever match. So cry. Cry until your voice grows raw and your spirit grows strong. Cry until the walls around your fear crack and crumble. Cry until your tears wash away the residue of every hex and every hateful word spoken against you. Cry because God is not intimidated by your mess. He is not disgusted by your weakness. He is not tired of your pleading. In fact, the scriptures say he counts every tear, bottles every drop, remembers every groan that passes your lips in the dark. You don't need perfect words. You don't need fancy prayers. You don't need a chorus of supporters nodding and shouting amen behind you. All you need is your voice. All you need is the truth of your pain poured out before the one who already knows the depths of your soul. Listen, the enemy wants to silence you. The witch wants to bind your tongue. The curse wants to shut your mouth and leave you gasping in isolation. But you were not made to sit in silence beneath the weight of demonic oppression. You were not created to be the voiceless prey of dark spirits. No, you were born with breath given by God himself, and that breath is meant to call upon the giver when the night presses close. The Lord who hears is the Lord who saves. The Lord who listens is the Lord who delivers. He did it for David when thousands rose against him, when conspiracies whispered behind closed doors, when the sharp edge of betrayal cut deeper than any sword. He will do it for you, because you are not just another broken soul in a sea of faces. You are his beloved. You are his chosen. And when you cry out, he leans from the heights of glory to lift you from the pit. Let the people laugh. Let the doubters roll their eyes. Let the accusers point their trembling fingers and say you are weak, you are nothing, you are finished. But they do not know the one who hears your voice in the night. They do not see the legions he sends at the sound of your sob. They do not understand that your cry is the beginning of your deliverance, the spark that sets hell's plans ablaze and sends every curse scattering like roaches from holy light. So cry, beloved. Cry in your kitchen, with soap suds on your hands. Cry in your car, when the world seems to spin beyond your reach. Cry in the corner of your bedroom, when sleep will not come. Cry in the quiet recess of your heart, when there are no words left and only the pulse of your anguish remains. Cry until you feel heaven draw near. Cry until you know, beyond all knowing, that God has heard you out of his holy hill, and he is already moving, already working, already fighting on your behalf. Do not fear your tears. Do not fear the sound of your voice breaking in the dark. Let it break. Let it shatter. Let the raw wail of your spirit be the key that unlocks every door the enemy tried to seal shut, because the God who hears is the God who heals, and he will not leave you undone in the wilderness of your suffering. Child, let your cry rise like a banner over your brokenness. Let it be the sound that rattles the chains off your life. Let it be the trumpet that announces to hell itself you are not alone. God hears. God sees. God is coming. And when he comes, no witchcraft, no curse, no evil plot shall stand. This is the power of your cry. This is the promise of the one who sits upon the holy hill. Lift your voice and watch the night break into dawn. Call on him and watch every demon flee. For you are heard, and you are loved, and your cry is your victory song in the making. There is something holy in your rest. Something sacred in the way you dare to close your eyes and surrender your spirit to the God who neither slumbers nor sleeps. The world would have you believe that rest is weakness, that it is lazy to trust the night to anyone other than yourself. But I tell you, child, it is a divine act of courage to lay yourself down when enemies surround you, when curses hiss from hidden tongues, when witchcraft crackles like a distant thunderstorm over your house. Oh yes, the enemy stalks in the dark. He prowls on tiptoe, seeking a crack in your armor, seeking a chink in your faith, seeking some place to slip his slimy hands into the corners of your mind. He would have you sit up through the midnight hours, eyes wide, heart racing, mind cluttered with dread. He would have you believe that the only defense against his attacks is your own frail vigilance. But listen to David. Listen to that old king, hunted and hated, who laid his weary bones down on the cold ground and said, I laid me down and slept, I awaked, for the Lord sustained me. Can you feel the power in those words? That is not the voice of a man ignorant of danger. That is not the voice of someone blind to betrayal. That is the voice of a soul who knows the Lord holds him, that the same God who made the sun to blaze and the moon to glow has cupped his life in everlasting hands. What a mighty act to sleep in the presence of enemies. What a bold faith to rest while curses linger in the air like fog. You see, rest is not a pause in the battle. It is a declaration of victory before the war has even ended. When you rest, you declare that your God is bigger than your troubles. When you rest, you proclaim that the curses hurled against you shall not prosper. When you rest, you stand upon the promise that no weapon, no hex, no dark word, no whispered incantation shall pierce the shield of the Almighty. And when you wake, O beloved, you do not wake by your own strength. You do not open your eyes because your alarm clock shouts or because your body stirs. You wake because God sustains you. You wake because heaven breathes into your lungs again. You wake because the one who watched over you through the night has commanded the dawn to rise upon your life. I have seen many men rise in their own strength and fall by the same hand. I have seen women pace the floor through the night, worrying over the curses spoken by jealous souls and the hexes woven by wicked hearts. But there is a peace that passes all understanding, a peace that folds itself around your weary shoulders like a blanket in the cold of night. That peace is the gift of God to the faithful who trust not in themselves, but in the one whose eyes roam to and fro across the earth, guarding the souls of his beloved. So do not fear the darkness. Do not fear the rumble of witchcraft or the crackle of spells spoken in secret. Do not fear the curses that men whisper behind closed doors. You are kept by a power greater than any curse, any spell, any scheme from the pit of hell. You are kept by the one who commanded the seas to hush and the storm to bow. When the night falls, lay your head upon your pillow and close your eyes. Whisper the name of the Lord upon your lips. Let your breathing become the rhythm of prayer. Let your dreams be filled with the visions of His goodness, His faithfulness, His mighty arm outstretched on your behalf. And while you sleep, heaven will war for you. Angels will patrol the borders of your house. The blood of Jesus will cover the thresholds and doorposts, turning back every evil thing that seeks to cross into your dwelling. While you sleep, curses will break like glass dropped from the heights. Spells will unravel like old rope in a fire. Plans will scatter like ashes in the wind, because you belong to Him, because He is your shield, your glory, and the lifter of your head, because He has called you by name and said, "This one is mine." Also sleep, beloved. Sleep in faith. Sleep with courage. Sleep knowing that your rest is a testimony to the world and to the devil himself that your God reigns, that your God is strong, that your God never slumbers nor sleeps. And when morning comes, rise with joy. Rise with the sure knowing that you have been kept by the Holy One of Israel. Rise with gratitude, your spirit singing praise before your feet touch the floor, because you are sustained not by your own strength, but by the mighty hand of the Lord. Let your rest be worship. Let your sleep be trust. Let your waking be a declaration that though evil gathers, it cannot pierce the peace that passes all understanding, the peace that is rooted not in your circumstances but in your Savior. For the Lord sustained you. For the Lord held back the night. For the Lord breathed upon your weary soul and said, live. Oh, child, there is power in your rest. It is not the slumber of the hopeless or the sleep of the careless. It is the rest of the righteous, the hush of the beloved, the breathing of the blessed. It is the sign to heaven and hell alike that you belong to a God who cannot be defeated, a God whose light breaks every curse, and whose word shatters every chain. Sleep and do not fear. Rest and do not worry. For he who kept you through the night will keep you through the day, and he who woke you in the morning will carry you into your victory. You are sustained, you are guarded, you are watched over by the Almighty himself. And that, beloved, is why you can lay your head down and sleep in perfect peace. Even while the enemy rages in the night, let them rage, let them conjure, let them plot. Your God will rise up, and they will scatter like shadows fleeing the dawn. Rest well, child of God. The battle belongs not to you but to the Lord, and he never fails. There is a time, child, when you must make up your mind to stand, not to shrink, not to cower, not to hide behind fragile walls built from fear and uncertainty. There comes a time when you must plant your feet upon the ground God made and declare with trembling voice and steady spiriting, I will not be afraid. David said it best. When the night was thick and the enemy's breath lay hot upon his neck, he said, I will not be afraid of 10,000s of people that have set themselves against me round about. Now hear me, that was not the boast of a man with chariots waiting at his door. That was not the roar of an arrogant king surrounded by a mighty army. No, this was the whisper of a hunted soul, a father betrayed, a leader abandoned by those who once sang his praises. 10,000s, David said. Not one, not 10, but 10,000s all around him. Yet he stood unshaken, his voice steady, his heart held by invisible hands. What kind of man says such a thing? What kind of faith stares into the mouth of hell and refuses to tremble? The kind of faith built on the knowing that God is not a distant deity, but an ever-present help in times of trouble. Fear is a beast that stalks the corridors of the mind. It slithers through cracks in the soul, whispering of disaster, conjuring shadows where none exist. Fear wants you paralyzed, wants you silenced, wants you hidden beneath blankets of doubt and dread. But God, he is not intimidated by the size of your opposition. He does not count the number of enemies before deciding if he will deliver you. No, child, he needs no census of the wicked to prove his strength. He needs no roll call of the hateful before he lifts you up and sets your feet upon a rock. When the enemy gathers, do not be fooled. They will look so many, their voices will sound so loud. Their curses will seem like thunder rolling over your fragile heart. But stand and remember the God who split seas with the breath of his mouth, the God who crumbled walls with the shout of praise, the God who raised dead men from cold tombs, the God who took one cross and turned it into the greatest victory the world has ever known. Do not bow to fear. Do not let the curses of witches and the chants of warlocks settle into your bones. Let them speak. Let them gather in circles and burn their candles. Let them twist words into spells and hope the night will swallow you whole. They do not know the God you serve. They do not see the fire that burns unseen around your life. They do not hear the rumble of angelic feet marching at the edges of your dwelling. David was surrounded, but he was not afraid. You too are surrounded by trouble, by hate, by the envy of those who cannot stand to see you blessed. But you are also surrounded by something greater, surrounded by grace, surrounded by power, surrounded by the breath of God himself, which no curse can quench and no hex can unravel. Do not tremble, beloved. Fear is the language of hell. Faith is the song of heaven. And when you stand in faith, even as your knees knock, you call forth the armies of God. You shake the plans of the enemy to dust. You scatter curses like chaff on the wind. Yes, 10,000 may rise. Yes, the night may be thick with danger. Yes, the mouths of your accusers may be full of poison. But you are not alone. You are not unprotected. You are not destined for defeat. You are held by the one who called the stars by name and counts every hair upon your head. And when you stand, others will watch. They will wonder how you do not flinch beneath the heavy weight of wickedness aimed at your peace. They will whisper among themselves, trying to understand how you keep smiling, how you keep loving, how you keep pressing forward when the world seems to rise like a tidal wave against your little life. And you will tell them with humility and with trembling lips, "It is not me. It is the Lord. It is His strength that keeps me. It is His hand that lifts me. It is His Spirit that breathes courage into my shaking heart." That is the power of standing. That is the power of saying, "I will not be afraid." It is not arrogance, child. It is not foolishness. It is not blindness to the reality of evil. It is trust, pure and simple, in the one who has promised never to leave you nor forsake you. Fear is the chain the enemy rattles to keep you from moving forward. Fear is the smoke he sends to blind your eyes to the army that surrounds him, the host of heaven sent to guard you in all your ways. But when you speak faith, you break that chain. When you stand in holy defiance of fear, you scatter the smoke. You step into the light of the God who fights for you. So let them gather. Let them circle your camp. Let them chant and scheme and spit venom into the night air. Let them conspire and complain and prophesy your downfall. But do not fear. Do not bow. Do not bend beneath the weight of their darkness. For your God is light, and in Him is no darkness at all. Your God is strength. Your God is shield. Your God is the voice that called Lazarus from the grave, and He is the breath that called the sun from the womb of the night. So stand, child. Stand in the face of curses. Stand in the face of witchcraft. Stand in the face of those who hate you without cause. And say with the faith of the ancients, say with the trembling strength of saints who came before Yug, "I will not be afraid." And watch, beloved, watch as God takes your little stand and turns it into a fortress. Watch as He scatters the 10,000s that rose against you. Watch as He lifts your head above your enemies. Watch as He prepares a table before you in the presence of every tongue that cursed you. You are a child of the Most High. You are the one He loves. And you need not fear the 10,000s, the 10 million, the 10 billion who would rise against you. For God plus you is always the majority. Stand, beloved, stand, and do not be afraid. For the Lord your God goes with you, and no curse in hell can touch what He has blessed. There is a cry that rises from the dust, a cry that shakes the gates of heaven and rattles the foundations of hell itself. It is the cry of salvation, the declaration that though the night was long and the battle fierce, the victory belongs to the Lord. Psalm 3 ends not with a question, not with a quiver of doubt, but with the roar of a soul convinced of its deliverance. Salvation belongeth unto the Lord, thy blessing is upon thy people. Oh, my dear, there is something holy in knowing where your help comes from, something unshakable in recognizing that your rescue does not lie in the strength of your arm, the cleverness of your tongue, or the size of your army. David did not look to his scattered followers, did not count his dwindling resources, did not put his hope in what he could gather with trembling hands. No, he lifted his eyes higher, past the horizon of trouble, past the mountain of enemies, past the thick smoke of curses and dark spells. He lifted his gaze to the one enthroned forever, the one whose word breaks every chain and whose breath shatters every curse. Salvation is not the work of man. It is not the song of the proud. It is the gift of God, woven into the fabric of your existence before your first cry filled the air. Before you were born, He was the God who saves. Before your enemies rose against you, He had already written deliverance into the story of your life. Child, there are curses spoken in secret rooms. There are witches who twist their tongues to bind your blessing. There are dark hands that write your downfall into the night. But hear me now, their words hold no power against the word of God. Their curses are as dust blown from the palm of the Almighty. Their spells crack and crumble like brittle clay beneath the rushing river of his mercy, because salvation belongs to the Lord, not to the priest, not to the prophet, not to the pastor, not to the king upon his throne or the warrior with sword in hand. It belongs to the one who formed you in the hidden place, who knit light and darkness together and called them both good. That is why you must not place your hope in the fragile arms of flesh. Man will fail you, even the best of them. Man will grow tired, even the strongest of them. Man will forget, will falter, will break beneath the pressure of battle. But God, he does not tire, he does not slumber, he does not faint beneath the weight of your sorrow, nor does he turn his face away when the night grows cold and the witch whispers louder than your own prayers. Child, let me tell you something plain your enemies will gather. They will grow bold. They will boast. They will lift their voices like thunder and rattle their spears of lies and jealousy. But their voices shall fade. Their curses shall boomerang back upon their own heads. Because your salvation does not come from your own defense, but from the defender who never loses a war. There is no witchcraft strong enough to pluck you from his hand. There is no spell dark enough to blot out the light of his promise. There is no curse potent enough to drown the river of his blessing that flows upon your life. Salvation is not simply rescue. Child, it is restoration. It is the lifting of your bowed head. It is the cleansing of your soul from the poison of curses spoken in secret. It is the healing of your wounded spirit. The mending of the torn places the world thought would leave you ragged forever. When God saves, he does not merely pull you from the pit and leave you trembling at its edge. He places your feet upon a rock. He dresses you in strength. He crowns you with glory. He anoints your head with oil until your cup runs over. He prepares a table before you in the presence of your enemies, not behind closed doors, not hidden in the shadows, but right there in the glaring light of day, so that every accuser, every witch, every lying tongue must watch as he lifts you up and pours blessing upon your life. Because that is the nature of God. He does not do half deliverances. He does not offer partial victories. He does not leave any curse hanging, waiting to strike you again. He cuts it at the root. He breaks every chain, not just the ones you see, but the ones wrapped in unseen places. So when David cried, "Salvation belongeth unto the Lord," he was not whispering a wish. He was speaking a truth so deep it rumbles like thunder across generations. That same salvation that guarded David guards you now. That same blessing that rested upon David rests upon you. You may not feel it yet. You may not see the victory. But, beloved, let me tell you what I know: blessings do not depend on your sight. They do not wait for your permission. When God has decreed a blessing over your life, no devil in hell, no witch in midnight's hour, no enemy with daggers in hand can stop it from coming to pass. So hold your head high, though your heart is weary. Speak blessing over yourself. Stand in the center of your storm and declare that salvation belongs to the Lord. Say it until the wind changes direction. Say it until the curses break and the night gives way to dawn. Say it until your spirit knows it deeper than it knows the weight of your suffering. Because he has not forgotten you. He has not abandoned you to the wolves. He has not left you as prey for the snarling mouths of the wicked. He is the God who saves, the God who sees, the God who lifts and restores and redeems. And he has placed his blessing upon you so that you may rise, so that you may shine, so that you may stand as a living testimony that no witchcraft, no curse, no wicked scheme can prevail over the child of the Almighty. Let the world know. Let the witches know. Let the curses know. Salvation belongs to the Lord, and the blessing of the Lord is upon his people forevermore.